Are you a Bedwars sweat? Do you like to spend your evenings killing as many nons as possible? Bedwars is a pretty straightforward game, right? But what if I told you that this seemingly innocent minigame has something more going on? There is actually a story behind the maps that you play and the people that you fight. Because after digging deep into the lore of Bedwars, I have come to some pretty crazy conclusions. And at the end of this video, you probably won't be thinking the same way about one of Hypixel's top games. Please consider subscribing, and thank you very much for watching. How do we know that there actually is lore hidden inside Hypixel Bedwars? I'm gonna be honest with you, there is not very much to go off of when it comes to Bedwars lore, which makes sense. That isn't the main purpose of Bedwars, but even only with little clues here and there, I personally believe there is something going on here. Let me show you what piqued my interest. See this sign right here? It's to the right of the Bedwars lobby, and you probably see it every single time you log in, but have you ever stopped to read it? Take a look at the first and last parts. In Bedwars, you and up to 3 teammates battle for control of the dreamscape. Good luck, and may the best dreamers triumph. Now, that might not sound like much, but just those 2 lines give us leads as to the who, the what, and the where. Let's look at that first line again. Control of the dreamscape. Well, yeah, isn't that obvious? We're battling for control. But are you really battling for control? When I think of the best Bedwars players, like Gamerboy80 or Purpled, I don't picture them fighting for control. I picture fast-paced fighting and bed breaking. You could make the argument that all of that is for the overall goal of controlling the map, but that seems like a stretch to me. But that detail isn't as important as what I'm about to show you next, which is the last part of the sentence. Control of the dreamscape. Because what exactly is the dreamscape? They're not talking about any regular old dream because they've capitalized the word, meaning that it's referring to an actual place. But what exactly is it? Well, when you look up dreamscape on the Google machine, a few definitions pop up, such as the landscape within a dream, or a dreamlike scene or picture that has surreal qualities, which makes sense because it is a scape within a dream. So already there are all of these references to dreams, and I'll show you even more later, but like, look at this. On the info board itself, there's a picture of some dude dreaming, meaning that Bedwars, whatever it is, takes place inside of a dream. More specifically, a place called the dreamscape, which is the first part of the puzzle completed. Now let's take a look at that second line. Good luck, and may the best dreamers triumph. This gives us a lead as to the who. This line really caught my attention because the word dreamers is capitalized. So they aren't referring to people who dream in general, they're using dreamers as a proper noun. According to most sources, we capitalize words to make them a little bit more special than they would be otherwise, and or to clarify a distinct entity. For instance, the word basketballer, which, let's be honest, is kind of a cringe way to refer to someone who plays basketball, is not capitalized in a sentence. But the name of a basketball team, such as the Golden State Warriors, is capitalized. So what is going on here? Well, dear viewer, I believe that dreamer refers to a specific type of creature. I know, it sounds crazy, but hear me out. According to a document labeled Capitalizing Organism Names, quote, in the Latin, scientific names of organisms, names at the species level and below, are not capitalized. Those at the genus level and above are capitalized. Now, I'm not going to get into the specifics of how that works because my knowledge in that area would run out quickly, but as far as I know, it is certainly feasible. There's also more reason to believe that there are different creatures involved in Bedwars. Take a look at the creatures inside of sprays. They may seem like Minecraft characters, but take a closer look. Notice that each player is a different color, which isn't that strange considering that each team in Bedwars is a different color, but look at their hands, their geometry. They have fingers, and 4 of them. So they can't be Minecraft players since Minecraft players don't have fingers, and they certainly can't be human. This leads me to believe that since they have a strong affiliation with Bedwars and dreaming, they must be some sort of creature. possibly called dreamers. And I say possibly because these creatures don't just appear on the Bedwars info board, but actually almost every other minigames info board. But who exactly are these creatures, and where did they come from? Are they sentient life created by Hypixel or something? Well, that's a video I'll save for another day. While we're on the topic of minigame info boards, notice that no other info board refers to its domain with capitalized letters. For instance, in Skywars, it gives you basic instructions like having your own island and the fact that you have to kill other players, but nowhere does it refer to where it takes place like the Dreamscape does. Or never does it refer to its players as dreamers with a capital D. Bedwars seems to be the only game mode with added details to its information. Details that aren't even important to know. I guarantee you that knowledge that you're playing in the Dreamscape doesn't give GamerBoy80 an edge over other players. This is added information that is hinting at something else. Another reason why I believe there are other creatures involved here is simply out of necessity. See, dreaming is no big deal for us, but multiplayer dreaming, where you can control everything in the dream, is a huge deal. We're not even close to that kind of technology in the real world. This makes me think that there must be advanced creatures behind the scenes here, with the technology to control dreams, but more on that later. The second main source of lore I have found so far lies in the map descriptions on the Hypixel forums. If you aren't familiar, there's a thread on the Hypixel forums that lists the latest Bedwars and Skywars maps in rotation. And the cool thing is, every single map has its own lore. For example, here is the description for the map Cliffside. A cluster of illegal workshops were constructed deep inside the cliffs in order to evade the law. Crimson gear is a secret signal for the allies to find them. Like, come on. And that's the same for every single map. There is a story, a history to every single map. There is lore here. Feasible, tangible lore. But here's a plot twist for you. I believe that every single map description is fake. Here's what I mean. It sounds like each map is connected and forms some sort of cohesive narrative, but I don't think so. First of all, time doesn't even pass in Bedwars. Rather, it is set in a specific time. Mostly in the daytime, or sometimes at night, like the map Crypt. But what really convinced me that these are artificial creations from the outside, rather than actual places, is the map called Planet 98. Okay, so what? So it's the 98th planet. Big deal. But hold on. It's the 98th planet from what? It's numbered, meaning there's a cataloging system. Therefore, that means this planet was named from the outside rather than the inside. For instance, we don't call our planet Planet 3. We call it Earth. And we don't call Mars Planet 4. We call it Mars. See, we've given each of these planets special names because they are close and important to us. But we don't name every planet we see because that's just not necessary. For instance, we know of a planet called HIP 13044b in the Andromeda Galaxy, which is 2.537 million light years away from us. So whoever named Planet 98 wasn't a person who naturally evolved on the planet, but rather a person looking in from the outside. Why is this important? Well, this means that it's unlikely for each of these maps to be part of one cohesive story. Rather, these are snapshots of places, perhaps made up places, pasted apart from each other, likely from an advanced species capable of these crazy scientific feats. What's more, take a look at the maps themselves. Islands in the sky with crazy structures, giant sharks, gigantified orchestra. I think it's pretty obvious that all of these maps are dreamlike scenes rather than actual places. And the lore for each map is an added bonus to make the game more interesting and immersive. So there's one more question we have to answer before we can get a full story, which is the why. What is the purpose of Bedwars? It's pretty obvious that Bedwars is structured as a game, but why did the Dreamers, or whatever advanced creatures, create it? Well, this is actually where evidence begins to run dry, and we have to do more speculation. I have two main ideas when it comes to the purpose of Bedwars, and this is where you can decide which one, if either, you think is more probable. Number one is the ethical view, which is that these people, when they created Bedwars, figured out that dreams could be used to create a relatively safe and incredible sport. Imagine if you were able to go into a multiplayer dream and compete with others in any created world you want, since dreams have pretty much unlimited potential. Number 2, though, is the opposite, where these people are actually causing damage with this technology. I will have to make a video on the meaning of Bedwars itself too, since dreams can actually contain extremely useful information if analyzed properly. But since Bedwars is all about killing others and all of that, it makes you wonder if there are any negative psychological implications. So there you go. That is my current stance on the lore of Hypixel Bedwars. An advanced civilization called the Dreamers or something else created a technology that allows them to control dreams and make them multiplayer, a universe they call the Dreamscape. They then use this technology to create a sport-like game called Bedwars, where each map is a separate dream with its own unique story. Whether this whole operation is ethical or not is something up for debate. Let me know what you think in the comments. Keep an eye out for more videos on the lore of Bedwars, and thank you very much for watching.